to now be working to knit together Aspen Institute's constituents and programs with Latino-serving institutions to shine a light on Latinos' issues as America's issues. I would like to thank our sponsors for believing in this vision and making this event possible. Target and Laisha Ward, who's here with us tonight, has joined us as title sponsor. Toyota North America and Pat Pineda, who is also here tonight somewhere. And Comcast, NBC, Universal, Telemundo, almost as long as my name, joined as an important financial and in-kind partner. Please join me in thanking all of them. I would also like to thank the Ricardo Salinas Scholarship Fund for making it possible to bring outstanding Latino students and rising Latino stars to this and other Aspen Institute events year-round. Can the Ricardo Salinas scholars here tonight raise your hands so everyone can see you right over here and over there? I also want to acknowledge those who support our program year-round. They are the Ricardo Salinas Foundation, the Woody and Gail Hunt Family Foundation, the Bloom Foundation, and our newest partner, the Bank of America Charitable Foundation. Now I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, Walter Isaacson, CEO and president of the Aspen Institute. In addition to taking the Institute to new heights during his leadership, Walter is known for writing very lightweight biographies such as Einstein, Ben Franklin, Henry Kissinger, Steve Jobs, and most recently, he wrote a book on the innovators behind the digital revolution. Please join me in welcoming Walter Isaacson to the podium.
Thank you. Hola, and thank you. The arc of American history has one great direction, one great narrative. It's sometimes messy, it sometimes doesn't work perfectly every year, but it's towards inclusiveness. And you've seen that since the very beginning, from the days of the founders, where somebody like Benjamin Franklin donated to the building fund of every church built in Philadelphia, donated to a new hall, and said even if the Mufti of Constantinople were to send somebody to teach us about Islam, created centers for Spanish and other immigrants that had came to the United States. And that was his vision of a very inclusive society. It took quite a while for that vision to work. In fact, we haven't reached the end of the narrative. It's a very long narrative in American history. But I think we all have to remember that strength that America has. That was the secret sauce, the one great idea that when this country was founded is that more and more people would come here. They'd come here from diverse backgrounds, different ethnic groups, different religious groups, and in that diversity would be our strength. No other country felt that way, and frankly, if you look around the world today, no other country has truly adopted that secret sauce for being a very strong country. It's graduation season these days, and I don't remember, Elliot and I graduated far too many years ago. I don't even remember who our graduation speaker was. But I think Elliot will remember there was a sermon given that morning by the Reverend at the Memorial Church of our college, Peter Gomes, and he said something that always struck me. The name of his sermon was, "What We Forgot to Tell You." And he said, what we forgot to tell you after we told you that this was an exclusive place and you were very privileged to be here, and you went on to more and more exclusive realms, what we forgot to tell you is that it's not in this world about exclusivity, it's about inclusivity. It's about bringing more and more people into what you do. And I must say that has, I hope, been a narrative of the Aspen Institute, because when it was founded 65 years ago, it wasn't all that inclusive. It was supposed to be there to help us understand the basic values of our society and how to be good leaders and how to have policy programs that were based on the values of our society instead of partisanship. And yet, if you looked around the table, I'm sure 60, 65 years ago, it was mainly white guys sitting around the table. Well, I hope that over the years we've helped change that, and this new program is part of that process. Because it's not just about a Latino in Society program, it's about making sure that Latino voices, ideas, and creativity are there in everything we do, whether it's our Young Leaders programs, our values programs, our seminars, whether it's about our foreign policy programs or our economic opportunity programs. We really want to make sure that the diversity, and especially now the Latino diversity that is changing America in such beautiful ways, is represented in all that we do. We are, as an institute, a program that does educational programs. We have more than 20 policy programs that look at everything from the environment to foreign policy to the Middle East to now the one that we're celebrating here, Latinos in Society. We also have young leadership programs, and if I must say, Julian Castro was a Rodell Fellow, one of our young leaders programs. We have international programs. I saw Luis here. Certainly Ricardo Salinas, besides funding all you wonderful scholars who raised your hand, has helped us start Aspen, Mexico. And so we do hope that those of us now running the Institute are continuing that tradition of understanding that including different people having a diversity of opinions is part of our strength. But that's not the only reason we do this. We do this because Latinos in Society is a subject, a topic, a value that has in some ways not been studied or appreciated enough. So all of us at the Institute have for quite a long time, Cesar Conde, who I think you're going to hear from in a moment, who's on our board, one of the first things he said to me when he was joining the board of the Aspen Institute is, what are you doing, on the issue, not just on immigration and not just on, but what are you doing about the whole issue of Latinos in society? And I wasn't paying much attention, but between Elliot and then Monica, all of a sudden this amazing program sprang up. So I do want to thank Abigail for helping run it. I want to thank Cesar for having pushed us to it. I want to thank Julian Castro for being an inspiration to me and for being part of our leadership network even before you were in the cabinet. There are now, 6 people in Obama's cabinet who have been part of our leadership network. Our plan for world domination is proceeding apace. But most of all, I want to thank Monica Lozano, because the reason this turned out to be so cool, the reason this turned out to be amazing is every time anybody says anything to me about this program, they say, I know Monica Lozano. She's amazing. And so, as a recovering journalist as she is, you spent 35 years in the media and Spanish language media in La Opinion. It is a great pleasure for me and a personal honor to introduce Monica Lozano.
Oh, thank you, Walter, and thank you all for being here. It is an exciting day, and you can only imagine all of the hard work that went into pulling this together. I do want to thank, obviously, Walter Isaacson and everybody involved at the Aspen Institute. Elliot Gerson is here, many members of his senior leadership team, certainly the Board of Trustees of Aspen, because without their belief in this, we wouldn't be here. And it's not just believing in something, it's actually doing something. And so I have to recognize Abigail Golden Vasquez and Sarah Alvarez, who are really the team. And of course, I also want to recognize there's members of our advisory board who are here. Thank you for your advice and counsel, and all of our sponsors who stepped up to make this a reality. And as I listened to Walter, it just became so clear why they came together so quickly. And those of us that have been either in business or in public life, you know that you can't move forward without having a visionary leader who embraces the tomorrow, the possibility of tomorrow. And there's too many people that look at the changes in our society and are either overwhelmed by it, see it as a challenge, think it's a barrier to progress. The Aspen Institute, because of its historical nature and because of the kind of leaders that it has said, not only will we embrace it, but we will put all of our support, financial, the leadership, the intellectual heft of Aspen behind what we're trying to do today. And without a doubt, the Aspen Institute is one of our nation's premier institutions. It has the ability to convene globally some of the greatest thought leaders and influentials in all aspects of life. And the way it approaches its work, from the executive seminars to the leadership training programs to the public programming, it is through that lens of a values-based inclusive society. So the fact that the Aspen Institute has launched a program on Latinos and society is tremendously impactful, because what it says is that our institutions, our nation's premier institutions, will embrace new voices and new perspectives and make us part of the fabric of that institution. A lot of us in this room, and there's lots of friends in the room, and I thank you for being here, we have so long advocated for being at the table. And Aspen has opened up its institutional table to make sure that we are a part of this organization at every level going forward. So I will commit to you, whether it's co-hosting seminars, roundtables, Aspen retreats on specific issues, investing in scholarships and the Aspen Fellows Program, to invest in the capacity of our next generation of leaders, we will make sure that that table is broad and that that table is inclusive. And I just want to mention, this is our first public event, but Abigail and her team have been hard at work. And I just want to mention some of the things that we have already been able to do. More than 30 scholarships, thanks to the support of some of our sponsors, have been awarded for Latinos to speak and attend the Aspen Ideas Festival, to speak and attend City Lab, to become part of their renowned Socrates seminars. And we've brought here, as you've heard, a group of young scholars from as close as Virginia and as far away as El Paso. And we are scheduled to take Aspen, Latinos in Society, on the road. We'll be in the border towns of El Paso, Juarez. We're going to Charlotte, North Carolina, and the idea is to take this inclusive perspective into places that have seen the kind of transformational change that this demographic revolution is bringing, to help people gain a better understanding, a better awareness, and at the end of the day, a greater sense of common purpose. So I thank you all for being here, committed to expanding this tent, the big Aspen tent, and adding these voices to the national narrative. So now it is my pleasure to introduce somebody who embodies everything that I just said and everything that we strive to uphold. As an Aspen Institute Rodel Fellow, Secretary of HUD, Julian Castro, has proven his deep commitment to values-based leadership. Throughout his career, he has sought common ground to solve vexing social problems. From the funding and the expansion of universal preschool in his hometown of San Antonio, to making affordable housing available to more Americans, and to making sure that our cities work for all of us. He's a visionary, a doer, a bridge builder, a friend of Aspen, and today, a friend of Latinos in Society. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming HUD Secretary Julian Castro.
Thank you. Good evening. Well, first, Monica, let me commend you on your fantastic leadership, not just as we launch Latinos in Society, but for the contribution that you and your family have made to the United States and to the Latino community over the generations. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I think that so many folks in this room recognize that we all feel confident in execution because of Monica's involvement and Abigail and her team and Walter Isaacson. Thank you, Walter, for your support of this and Aspen's. Our plan for world domination is going pretty well these days. And of course, I also want to thank Cesar, who I know is going to follow me for his guidance and his leadership on the board. A few years ago in 2010, when we got the results of the latest census, one of the numbers that stuck out was that of young people under the age of 18, 23% of them were Latino. And so what it means going forward in this 21st century is that America's destiny is intertwined with the destiny of the Latino community and vice versa. And we look around the world today, and what we see is that the United States is engaged in an unprecedented competition for investment and jobs and talent around the world with nations that are rising like never before, places like China and India and Brazil that are producing tons and tons of young people with the ability and the ambition to do great things, to innovate, to help create prosperity in their nations. And we live in a time when brain power truly is the new currency of success in this 21st century global economy. That dynamic, combined with the second dynamic of Latinos being the fastest growing community in the United States, being one of the youngest communities in the United States, ambitious, forward-looking, with all the values that has made America great over the years, mean that this Latinos in Society initiative strikes right at the heart of where we need to be looking to ensure that this community has sufficient leadership from the classroom to the boardroom, that we get the entrepreneurs and the innovators and the business owners and the thinkers that will help define prosperity for our country in the years to come. And I know that because of this effort, we are going to have a new cohort, a new generation of Latinos that are going to help make big gains, not only for the Latino community, but for all of the United States. And that truly is an investment that we all should be excited about and support. And that's why I'm happy to be here, because in the years to come, the dividends of this are much more than a benefit for the Latino community, although that is very exciting and I believe will be accurate. It's really dividends that will be paid to the benefit of our entire nation and make us stronger in the years to come. Muchísimas gracias to the Aspen Institute for making this happen. Thank you.
So good evening, buenas noches. First and foremost, it's wonderful to be here at this wonderful event. Let me start off by saying a thank you to Secretary Castro for taking the time not only to be an incredible leader in our country, but for taking the time to personally be here today. We know how busy you are, and it means a tremendous amount to us that you came out to support. Thank you. It's wonderful to see so many friends and familiar faces at this incredible launch of our program this evening. I want to talk to you a little bit about sort of what my connection is to the Aspen Institute. I'm here in my capacity as a trustee of the board, but I was exposed to the Aspen Institute a little over 10 years ago, early in my career, with a program called the Henry Crown Fellows Program. It's one of their many leadership programs that they have at the Aspen Institute. And I can tell you firsthand what an incredible impact that had, not only on me, but my colleagues at the time, an impact both on the professional and personal level. And it was the first time that I was exposed to what Aspen's leadership programs can do to change lives and change society. And so when this initiative first came up, I thought it was very commendable that the entire Aspen Institute organization got right behind it. And I want to really take a moment to recognize and thank Walter, Elliot, Eric, and everyone from the Aspen Institute. There are so many requests and there are so many influencers throughout the world that are trying to get the attention of Walter and get the attention of the Institute. And for them to have recognized the importance of this initiative and be willing to put their resources and time behind it, I think is incredibly, incredibly commendable. So thank you, Walter, and thank you, everyone, for that incredible leadership. I also want to add to the congratulations and recognition of my friend Monica Lozano, our chair, Abigail and Sarah. They have done such an incredible job. And so to get an initiative off the ground, it takes hard work, determination, and execution. But it's one thing to deliver on the execution of a dream. It's another thing to do it in record time. And I think if you knew behind the scenes what this team has done to get this program up in such an incredible short time frame, I think it's nothing short of a miracle. So congratulations and thank you. And so that brings us to our agenda that we have tomorrow, which is so exciting. As many of you know, tomorrow we have a great agenda of keynotes and panels that are going to talk about the contributions of Latinos to the new economy and some of the key policy challenges that we're facing within that context. You know, so many of us have worked within our community for so many years and so many decades. So it's not a surprise for us to know that our community, the growth of it over the years, has brought us to the center of American life. And so one of the things that we're constantly reminded is that the challenges and opportunities that we have in the Latino community are not limited just to our Hispanic brothers and sisters. They are the opportunities and the challenges of America today. And so I think that collectively we all have a unique opportunity and unique role to contribute to that conversation. And that's why I think our Aspen Institute initiative is so unique and so important.